Good evening, class. Yes, I would want to thank you very much for logging into class. And I see it's about, 30 minutes past time, but thank you for being patient. So in chapter 3, we are getting back to forensics, and we are going to do a quick recap. A recap of what 1 and 2 covered, and start a little more on the forensic process. We have quite a lot we'll be able to cover. However, we should be in position to still go ahead and finish as much as we can be able to get today. So this is a recap chapter, and it has quite a number of illustrations taking us through our digital forensic investigation and some of the basics. So just to make a quick recap of where we came from. In chapter 1, we looked at the introduction to digital forensics, a quick overview, the need for digital forensics. We defined forensics. We looked at part of the process. Even now, this chapter, we will look at it and look at small bits of what we expect. So as I said, it's a recap. And our aim here is to see how can we do each of these phases, identify, how can we do the analysis, how can we do each of these phases as we shall be able to cover. So in chapter 2, we looked at computer systems or secure systems. We looked at understanding some of the components, that is CIA. We also did a practical to test integrity, and we used RegShot to help in testing the integrity of a particular system. So in today's class, we want to go and look at a quick overview of what we've captured, what we've done. So we'll spend a very short time on each of the slides. They are quite a lot, very illustrative, but we will want to focus till the end. So we'll look at mainly hardware. How do I identify different parts? Forensics, and several of these parts we'll see have been covered. We want to focus mainly on the uses of forensics, as well as the requirements that you will need to be a good skilled person for forensics. Our definitions have been covered. We just want to quickly get our basic definition. It's the collection and analysis of data from computers and any other devices of interest with an aim of obtaining evidence. That's the one we'd want to give as our ultimate definition. But you know, several authors have several other definitions of how they would term digital forensic investigation. What are some of the key core items? Evidence. And we've said the kind of evidence that is obtained should be admissible in the courts of laws. It should be accepted. It should meet the minimum requirements for court to accept it. That's what we mean by admissibility in the courts of law. Evidence may be required for a wide range of computer crimes. It has to be required because unless you want to lose the case, but if you really want and you're determined to win the case, you should be in position to submit what is valid, to be able to see how the truth gets out. We defined who an investigator is. This is someone who will gather this information, document it, as well as evaluate evidence and the information that we receive. And the focus or the name of the process in which we do this gathering, documenting, evaluating this information is what we term as the process of investigation. And it's very key for us to understand that the main purpose of carrying out a criminal digital forensic investigation is to discover the truth that will have my DNA, the truth that will have my writing, The truth that will see how to exonerate a particular user from a particular crime that occurred. That is the truth that we are seeking for. And that's why, you know, as part of the behavior for the computer forensics experts, when you go to court, they will always give you a Bible to swear, oath of faithfulness. You swear the oath of faithfulness, the oath of ethicalness, such that it's nothing but the truth. And if anything that comes out that is a lie or falsified, it will be managed and handled by the person. Several other definitions of how, and of course, these you've looked at in your assignment number 1. Different methodologies of digital forensic investigation are there. Carrier in 2006 came up with a model. Casey and their colleagues in 2010, and they are defining the process. And you see that they follow some generic procedures, but you know, they want to make it very good, very fancy in the different ways. So we just want to again do a quick recap of the 4 most important steps. In the identification step, the preserving step, analysis, and presentation. Why do we need computer or digital forensics? To produce evidence in the courts of law that will lead to punishment of the actual thief or the actual person. Because there are some people who are innocent, but we need evidence to show that they're innocent. We want to ensure integrity. And of course, we saw the last week, how do we test for this integrity of a system? Number 3 is that to focus on the response to high-tech offenses. These are stated to intertwine each other because we want the truth. We want it to be documented from the IT perspective. So we want to focus on what is high-tech, what is ICT, what are the codes inside there that are showing our evidence. We looked at why digital forensics is important. And we saw many other items within our chapter 1. The history is very well known, over 30 now 40 years that the law has actually been existent. In the US, their law was approved in 1986. In Uganda, our law was only approved, our computer law was approved in the year 2011. Pretty much new, ours is just in a decade. But end of the day, we have grown, we have learned. They have supported us as a country to see that we reach a level where we can do this forensic analysis. The goal of computer digital forensics, as we've seen, is to find out the evidence and to present this evidence. Of course, to first of all, document it, gather it, document it, preserve it, and to present it before the courts of the law, leading to legal action of a particular criminal. Either you're innocent or you actually are not innocent. We want to see a number of cyber crimes that can happen. There are several of them. And we know we've covered these in chapter 1. You'll see it's a quick recap of what we are looking at. Cyber crimes occur when information technology is used to commit or to conceal an offense. So that is why we use cyber forensics to help us. You can use a computer. It can either be the one you use to attack or the one to be attacked. For as long as you're using anything that is ICT oriented, that is what we will term as a cyber crime. If you're using it For pornography, you are criminal. If you're using it to attack people, to steal some money, it's still a crime. And so we want to look at some of these types of crimes. Forgery is one of the crimes. Breach of computer security that we saw in chapter 2, the CIA confidentiality, integrity, and availability is a crime. Fraud or theft, copyrights violation, identity theft, the threats, burglary. Burglary includes, that is breaking into someone's house and they steal ICT equipment, phones, laptops. You're walking by the roadside, they grab your bags. All that is part of theft and burglary. Homicides are killings. When they kill someone and they want to conceal the information in ICT, they throw away the SIM cards, throw away phones in septic tanks. That is part of homicide. You commit murder, conceal the information for years, decades. Administrative investigations, especially for corrupt officers. Evidence that you signed for money and this money went to do nothing. It didn't go to build the road, or it didn't go to buy equipment. It went to your personal account to buy a vehicle and other luxuries. Cyber terrorism, where people are always looking for terrorists. They're always bombing up, mail bombs, sending all kinds of terrors over the website. Sales and investment fraud. You sell air. You buy, like, I'll give an example. You make a sales online. You want to buy a vehicle, you want to buy a computer online. Make payments. The next time you go back, you find that, the owners of those computers no longer exist. That is a very, very huge crime. It's a sales or investment fraud. So by the time you send something, that's why we like this, our local Jumia, which is half-half. It is not purely online. You make the orders, they bring and deliver. It's after they have delivered that you say, okay, now I like what I've bought and I want to stay with it. And it's cash on delivery. But otherwise, if you say, let me just pay money abruptly and I wait for the truth to be delivered, there are lots of sales and investment fraud. Not fall for such lies. There are thieves out there. Anything that is electronic fund transfers, fraud, there are several of those, especially from either Airtel or MTN. They are forever calling, you are lucky winner. I don't know, send us some money to do this. Those are thieves. That is broad daylight electronic fraud. And in case you get any of these criminals, my advice, get to the MTN or Airtel service number. Hand in their number, give them evidence of what they have said and what they have done, any amount of money they have stolen. And I tell you, when they get confirmation that, yes, this was the number calling you, I'm telling you, they always go and block it. So save many other colleagues of yours and citizens by calling these toll-free numbers of MTN and Airtel. And send those people's fake numbers. I've sent, I think, about 5. People calling, wanting to take some money. People calling and telling you how you are lucky winner. People calling saying you need to verify your number, claiming to work with MTN, yet you're calling on a local MTN number. No, I hand in your number straight. I say, it's okay. Thank you for calling. This number is going to be blocked in a few minutes' time. And you inform them. Say, because you're carrying out some electronic fraud. They say, no, please, please. They beg. They say, good. Why you need to block those numbers? Because they are continuously stealing innocent people. So there are so many crimes, we can't exhaust them. We will look at several others: email stalking, cyberbullying, financial fraud with organizations, social media defamation. Someone sends pictures of nudes, someone keeps abusing you and stalking you on mail, or even those are typical crimes that digital forensic investigation is highly interested in. Denial of services attacks, these are very serious crimes, crimes that want to break the communication between the users and the service providers. They will engage, send millions of packets to the servers. So you who wants to access information, you don't have any access to that sort of information. Industrial espionage, that is the same as trespass, is also one of the crimes. We can trespass, especially by getting to people's accounts, canceling zeros. It's trespass. Who gave you permission to go into someone's territory? So there are so many crimes that we will have. So when we tell you to name and label some of the computer crimes, you should be able to at least give us 5 to 10 good examples. Look at how we've classified most of these. We've looked at this graph before. The most common kind of cyber crimes we have is the physical theft of wallets. Theft of wallets, theft of money, theft of computers. Look at the 43% always steal. This was from 2021 statistics. While conducting transactions, people are able to divert and make crimes. 19% of the crimes that are cyber-related take place in a passive mode, when some money is being transacted and it's just diverted, sent somewhere else. The money doesn't come. That's why every time you want to send money, be it on mobile money, call the number first and ask them, in whose names do we hope to find this money? Because if the money goes to someone else, you miss up a number, instead of 6, you maybe type 3. That is it, it goes to someone else. So there are so many diversions that happen in the active attacks. Friendly thefts up 13%. In the friendly thefts, that is where they masquerade, call you and give you one love story. Before you know it, you think it's true. You start sending money. Before you know it, they cut off communication. They are thieves. They have picked up enough money and they are good to go. Abandon your email, abandon the phone numbers. Those are typical thieves. Stolen paper and mail, online crimes up to 11, data breaches 11%, and several other crimes. We've seen this before, where we are showing the top 20 the top 20 countries that are involved in cyber crimes. USA has the highest percentage of cyber criminals. Many people go to the US just to do nothing but to defraud the others they have left in Africa, defraud the rest of the other people in the world. But when they see an address USA, they keep thinking this is supposed to be a genuine person. They can easily track the person. And I'm telling you, it becomes very difficult when they're using VPN to trace them. It's very tough. China, Germany, Britain, Brazil, and many other countries. Australia, Mexico, very small percentages. Look at them. Taiwan, South Korea, Canada at 13%, at 2%, that's number 13. Russia, 2%, Poland. So the numbers keep increasing. And this is from FBI in a study they carried out worldwide. And of course, they receive all these virtual reports as they're doing their worldwide policing. But still, USA and other countries are always in the lead. What is evidence? Evidence is the stuff of proof. What you use to manifest the truth about particular facts or circumstances. So evidence is what evidence is what is administered and sent to the courts of law. In the courts of law, what they need is this digital evidence. If you say, yes, I was hacked into, they stole, where is the evidence? Did you call the forensics experts, those in the SOCO? That's a department that does forensics in police. Or did you get a private investigator? That is proof of stuff. They robbed elections. What is the evidence? You need to have your digital facts very clear. The legal systems impose 3 basic requirements. We always ask you this question. What are the requirements for any proper evidence for it to be accepted as a legal proceeding? Here they are. Number 1, the evidence must be relevant. 2, it must be authentic. And 3, it must have tested for integrity. Relevance means that it must serve an important purpose in deciding a question of fact. If it is theft of elections, everything you're talking about should be about elections in that place. Evidence from the polling stations, phone numbers, cameras, I don't know, snapshots. There must be a lot of evidence in relation to that particular crime you're mentioning. Authentic, it must be the real thing. That even when we go and present it, yes, the truth must be consistent. When someone else runs the same system, they should get the same kind of output. Number 3, integrity. It must not be modified or contaminated. And that's why we said, if you're using Windows, we shall use a write blocker. A write blocker is used to freeze information on that disk that you're carrying out investigation from, to ensure that no other writings happen at that time. And that is when we said you should have run a reg shot before, run a reg shot after, compare. The moment what is before and after are different, it will confirm and it will give you a different number and it will tell you, sorry, it has failed and it's an error. So that reg shot test is extremely important, and many other integrity tests that one can be able to cover. That is just only one of them. We shall also look at one that compares the hash values. It can be for a particular document. It can be for a particular picture, as long as you don't edit anything and change it. Once the hash values remain the same, then that means, okay, that particular item has not changed. It has not been modified. Whatever evidence you have must be stored, especially if it is a hard drive. Look at what we are seeing here in this picture. In this picture here, we see a hard drive that is stored in a well-cushioned case. Why? You have sealed it, you're taking it off. This is where you picked all the information, made your image, you've finished all the work, you are preserving it, ready to go to court. Seal it off, sign, label it very well. This is the kind of casing that is well cushioned so that you don't lose any information. Digital evidence, of course, the moment it is ICT oriented, the moment it is software or hardware oriented, that is what we term as digital evidence. However, this our digital evidence, we should be in position to come up, out with a printout. Because I told you the lawyers like reading. Don't say everything is on the computer, we will show you. The process says document and document and document the process as much as possible. So much as it's digital evidence, you document how did you find this evidence. Next, we want to look at different types of evidence. we have persistent evidence or persistent data. Persistent data is data that is on like a ROM, random, read-only memory. It is stored on a flash disk somewhere. It is stored on a hard drive, on a backup. That is persistent data. It is non-volatile data that even if you turn off the computer, it will not get lost. That's why we call it, it's more or less like data at rest. It is data from different storage devices, and it is there on a hard drive, on a disk drive, removable storage devices, etc. Persistent data is non-volatile data. Next, we want to look at volatile data. It's the opposite of persistent data. Whenever a computer is turned off, then the computer gets rid of the rest of that information. It's lost. That volatile data can also be picked by forensics. However, it will appear in zeros and ones. You will need a high-level reading program to get meaning out of what you were trying to say. So whenever power is lost and you have not saved that work, that is data saved in the volatile memory. So we shall see even data in transit. We will see how, yes, we have in one of our practicals, we shall be able to test for volatile data. You can be able to retrieve some of this volatile or non-volatile data. So those are the two types of data. We have 5 key rules that we follow for evidence. Number 1, the data you collect must be admissible in terms of it must be used and accepted in court or elsewhere, especially for criminal investigation purposes. It may be for admitting in court to show that, yes, this is the rightful criminal, please arrest this one. This one, please kindly leave them out. These are innocent. They have nothing to deal with this particular crime. The evidence should be authentic. It should be relevant. And of course, we had seen that it should not be tampered with. This evidence should be complete. We term it as no tunnel vision. We should be able to see that it is not altered in any way. And that's why you see we always test for the integrity, because we want it to be as complete as possible. Number 4, evidence must be reliable. No question about authenticity or veracity. The truth must always come out in within the system. So the truth is what we are all looking for and hoping that the truth gets out in one way or the other. Number 5, this evidence must be believable. It should be easy to understand, easy to believe by the juries because it is truthful. They'll even run it on another computer. Install for them the software, they run it, and they see if they get the same output, then it is believable by the jury. We want to see these other top 10 locations. We always ask you, list for us some of the locations. We ask you about 5 or even more places where we can pick evidence from. 1, history, the internet history files. Yes, we will see how we can get our internet history files. Temporary internet files, we shall run. There is one of the tools that I gave you that I mentioned of that we will be able to run and see these temporary internet files. Then we have Slack, allocated or unallocated space. That is the hidden space. We have a way in which we can unhide those spaces. Also, we have tools, we call them steganography. We have software called Stagger that will help us to pick this data that is in hidden and unallocated spaces. Buddy lists, of course, they will get you to all your to your email addresses. Yes, and I want to remind you, please, that if ever you're getting a visa to go to any country, especially to the West, either to the US, or if you're going to Canada, any of those, they will always ask you in the visa, please enter in all the phones that you've ever registered in your names. Also enter in all your addresses on WhatsApp or any social media platform. Was it Instagram? Is it Facebook? And tell us the names, the AKA you always put there. Is it, I don't know, Spider-Man? What do you call yourself? I don't know, Big Tom. I don't know, Small Rat. People will have all kinds of names. Why? They need to do a thorough forensic background check on you. And that's why I advise forensic students, please be very careful of, and actually they ask you for any you have ever created, all email addresses, whether yours or not yours, for as long as you've ever created them. Always keep them, because you must travel. You're not a local champion. You must travel because you're an expert in your area. So keep all those, because these are top location items of where they can pick these criminals. News groups you belong to, club lists, any postings, wherever you are active on social media platforms, any news areas. Then, of course, when you go to settings and you go to the folder structure and go to file name, those are the core places that we actually pick evidence of any particular file. And we shall see even many more. Sometimes there are files that do not have an extension. You try, they send you a file, you try to open it, it's not there. We will download a tool and show you how are you able to, a forensic tool that you're able to use to pick the file extension details, so that you download that program and open it. File storage dates, yes, a lot. Because when you go to file properties in any file, it will always, or any document, they'll always show you when it was created, when it was modified. Forensics really give you a lot of things you do. All deleted information, when it was created, first version modified, all the way to all versions that you have saved that document. Even if you delete it 15 times, I'm telling you, it will regurgitate all versions. You rewrite it, copy, delete, delete, delete. Everything will come back to life using forensic tools. So file storage dates are part of the top location places where we pick evidence. Number 8, any hardware or software, for as long as it is reachable, it is evidence for us to pick out on that as information. Software or hardware that has been added is another one. File sharing abilities, emails. Oh, if you're having, or you're being cyber harassed by a boss or by a colleague, or someone who wants to take you on and say, if you don't say this, you don't declare this, it is very tough. So you see that emails have a lot of evidence, and different forensic tools exist for hacking and picking information from these emails. So these are the top 10 places that at any one time we always pick evidence from. So what happens in the process when you're told to carry out a forensic investigation? This is one of the methodologies. It is not any different from the ones we have seen before, but I will show you how we classify them. Look at number 1. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, we'll be able to see that a number of them, we are going to classify them in the major steps. Here, this one gives us how many? About 15 of them. Yes, about 15 of them, but we are going to classify them. Number 1, shut down the computer. This is an identification process. After you've identified and say, aha, This is the computer that is producing viruses. You pick it from the tools you're running and say, yes, it's number this, it's sending from this, okay. You go get it off the internet. Number one, shut it down, get it off the internet. Document the hardware configurations in terms of what is the computer make. Maybe it's an Intel Core i7, it's an Ultrabook, then maybe it's disk space, I don't know, 1 terabyte, processing speed, 16 GB. You document all the hardware prescriptions. You look at them right at the top of your laptop or computer, and underneath, there are lots of serial numbers that you need to pick. Yes. Number 3, transport this system to a secure location. That is where you want to take it to the lab, such that you want to, first of all, make your copy. Once we transfer it, or we can choose to now make our copy. That is still within, after identifying it, we now start making a copy. That is our next step. After this, we now start making the bit streams, where we said we make copies of the information that we need on hard drives, USBs, any hardware device, any software that you find anywhere there. Mathematically, you will need to verify that the data on all the storage devices, yes, using the integrity check, run the integrity check, the reg shot. All these happen at the identification step. Document the system, what date is it, what time you picked it and made the bit streams. All of these are important. The next step is analysis. After you've made these copies, now go and make a search. You remember when you went to the courts of law, you asked that, yes, I want to look out for an email that Annabella sent to someone called maybe person X, harassing the person. I'm going to fire you. If you don't do this, then I will do the other. That is a harassment. So they have just sent you, go and search this person's email on their mail server and pick out any email from Annabella. Those are the search letters that you are going to pick out, unless if it is open and they tell you search for anything. Number 8, evaluate the Windows swap file. In terms of you testing for the integrity, evaluate the file slacks. You know where we said we have allocated spaces and unallocated spaces. File slacks are for allocated spaces. Files that you can actually read and say, yes, this one is actually labeled to do this, I don't know this. Look for the one that you need. Evaluate even the unallocated spaces. Wherever there were those deleted files, hidden files, please get all of them, retrieve them. Search the files, search both the slack and unallocated files. This one's happening in the analysis phase as well. Document the file names, all your findings that you have, whatever you pick. Systematically, we searched for this, we got this screenshot, you document. Everything screenshot with evidence, so that when another person comes, they should equally find the same information. They find it different, automatically you lose the case because you're also telling lies, and they open a case against you, and that is it, they throw you out. Identify the files, programs, and storage anomalies. Then evaluate the program's functionality, document your findings, and finally, you are ready to preserve it. Those are the key core steps. And of course, preserve it for another time, because some cases always keep on going. You never just delete a case. No, save it somewhere on the cloud. Save it in a safe place so that when a case comes up 5-10 years from now, you go back to those investigators who are handling the case and always pick up a copy from where it actually stopped. Okay. Next, we want to see there are several applications that you can test for fraud. Financial fraud detection, criminal prosecution, civil litigation, corporate security, profiles and violation. These are all forms of applications of where we need to carry out forensic investigation. Someone calls, yes, someone stole maybe a land title and they're saying this, yes, there must be evidence. You need evidence that you're going to search for in the land offices on your side. Do thorough investigation. How comes two people have the same land title? That means there is someone who did something somewhere in the wrong. Corporate security policies. This one we saw, it's the work of private investigators. Private investigators aim at always getting us evidence when a company's policy has been violated. Okay, so that's where we apply computer forensics. Oh, sorry, would want to go on. Who uses this computer forensics? Criminal prosecutors rely on this for evidence. The civil litigations, if it is harassment, if it is fraud, they need it for getting the truth in court. Private investigators, the private corporations, need it before they fire you. They must find evidence against you that, yes, this person has been fired on the case that A, B, C, D, and with evidence. So once they take you to court and they find that, yes, you are a criminal, then they say, okay, the most we can do to you, please, lessons learned. Next time, learn to respect computers. The law is there, you're using it for your own business, etc. For law enforcement, that is true for implementing that policy that government has come up with. Do not go sharing photos of the dead. Do not disturb the peace of the dead. Do not go sharing what that is false. Yes, they can use that against you. For enforcing the law, that's why they use forensics. And of course, it's the police that are in charge of carrying out this post-seizure handling. Individual and private citizens. Yes, in case I'm harassed or you're harassed, someone is being abused. And by the way, sometimes just that people don't have money, but it would be good for them to really get and take these people on before they actually kill you. There are some cases you look at and you're like, no, this was a criminal case. I wish the person had money. They should have taken this person, the other spouse or child, whoever is threatening them that they want to kill them because of maybe land or because of property. You do the recordings and those ones can be taken to the courts of law and they charge someone for carrying out harassment and abuse or wrongful termination from employment. So that is when you'll have to definitely get your private investigators. We always ask you, list at least some of the computer skills, some of the skills a good forensic investigator would need to have. Here they are, we've given you about 10 of them. You must be good at programming. You should be able to discern and run through any programs that are related or have some programming related experience. The one you've attained so far is good. You should have a broad understanding of operating systems. How does Linux work? How does Windows work? How does Unix work? Sun, etc. All kinds of operating systems and applications. You must have strong analytical skills, critical thinking. You should ask tough questions. Why did this do this? That means there is something related to this. How comes this did not come out very well? You must question everything that you're investigating. Having good, strong computer skills are very important. They will be of great advantage. Strong administrative skills, because you're boldly handling big decisions. You should be able to appear in court. You should be able to have knowledge on the latest intruding tools and keep yourself up to date. That's why I encourage each one of you. Having finished your third year, please embark on getting certifications. And you'll see whenever we arrange with a team from NITA to have a joint class with all of you, they will be able to tell you on how and what are some of these tools that you will need to do and forensic certifications to measure yourself in within security. You must have knowledge on cryptography and steganography. Cryptography is about encryption. Steganography is about hiding and unhiding documents. So you should know, how do you hide? How can you unhide hidden documents? How can you pick them out? You must have a strong understanding on the rules of evidence and how to handle evidence according to your courts. And that's why you will need some certifications, even beyond your bachelor's degree. It's just your basic. You will see, in order for you to be a good forensic investigator, you should be in position to understand these legal rules. You should have the ability to be an expert witness, because, especially in the courts of law, because if you're the person who has done the investigation, the truth must always come out. You already finished our assignment number 1. The cyber criminals are always seeing how to cut and tap into information. In the real world scheme, there is a lot of theft physically. Look at the diagram, the second diagram below here. In the virtual world, what is presented is usually online. It is different from actually breakages, burglaries. It's different. You wake up and you find your mobile money balance is at 0. Something went wrong. Theft in the real world takes place when someone comes. Look at what this gentleman is doing. He goes to a house and literally lifts a whole computer, goes to an office, picks a whole desktop and runs away with it. However, on the cyber, you're not able to see even who was able to do that. And that's why you need to have strong analytical skills and IT skills to track this. Your programming skills are very, very key. Look at this one. This person came up with a virus and said, oh, imagine the person, let us just read it as it comes. To test my programming skill, I need to write a new virus. Oh no, the computer accidentally set the viruses and the virus has spread along the world in a flash. They arrest the person and the person is under arrest in prison. That's what happens when people are coming up with these viruses. They just don't know, they're just there practicing their own programming. Before you know it, and they can trace where you've come from. They come for you, they arrest you, they say, why did you make this kind of loss? That's why you need to be very careful in completing your programs, lest they become viruses. And when they trace through, they shouldn't pick you up. We've seen a lot about what computer crimes are. We want to look at 2 aspects. 2 aspects of them is that computers can be a tool, like child pornography, threatening emails, identity theft, sexual harassment, defamation, phishing. All these are crimes that where a computer is used as a tool. Then we said a computer itself can become a target. When we want to send your computer viruses, worms, software piracy, that means now it's actually your computer that is a target of crime. Hacking. So you need to know a computer crime is one, an unlawful act where the computer is either a tool or a target, or even both. It can both be a tool and a target. Hacking. Hacking is a simple term. We're still looking at different types. An illegal intrusion into a computer system without permission of the owner or the user. And of course, software piracy. When you use unauthorized software, you just unauthorizedly copy it and use it, crack it. You've had those cracked versions. Pornography, going to the pornographic sites, magazines, and being able to publish those kind of material, whether you send it to someone, it's abomination. It is the devil's work, really, sending pornography. Don't even try it at all. Forging documents, coming up with fake documents, academic transcripts, fake marks, all those are not accepted. Those are forged. Credit card fraud. This is a wide range of theft where you find people just duplicating and getting your cards. Why? The aim is to see how they can carry out transactions and to make money. We've seen computer stalking, where you choose to threaten and harass someone. If you don't give me money, I will do this. That is a threat. And that kind of threat must be handled by the courts of law. No one is allowed to threaten an organization. Phishing, what is phishing? We always ask you this kind of question. It's masquerading to be a trustworthy entity. You say, oh, I'm from State House, see my ID. I've come to give students scholarships. By the time you go to see, the person is a Mufere telling you pay money here, collect this. Once you pay here, you just know your fees are going to be paid. You just relax and study. You keep moving around with one letter. Recently, I think they got some students somewhere. And the students were walking around masquerading with some letter, which was non-existent. They told them, okay. They went to the bank and they found their balance was still at 0. They said, okay, that means that person was somewhere making money on them. Those are phishing emails. They tell you a lucky winner, send us your username, your password, your NIN. Guard it very selfishly, because these phishing people, the fishermen, are always, and women are always seated. And by the way, they say most of these cyber attackers are actually women, especially those mothers who are not working. They get time to sit and learn this programming. They're not in a hurry. As the children are studying at home, they sit and do nothing but to hack and break into computers. Computer defamation. When you go and change someone's website and you keep publishing a lot on their Facebook pages, go and block them, go back. All that is computer defamation. It's unaccepted. We've looked at evidence, and here we want to look at it from hardware or software perspectives. When you go to the courts of law, when you go to an office, they tell you, go and identify. What do you identify? Any hardware device, from audio recorders to video recorders to mobile phones, pen drives or flash disks, CDs, DVDs, hard disks, all those are evidence. Digital evidence is in any form of probative value as long as it is transmittable in binary form. That is what makes it digital. Electronic records are those that are generated, stored, sent or received by electronic means, like data, images, and we shall see how to do even some forensics on images to see how people, and there is a tool for it, why you want to know where that image has come from, who sent it, because many times they come masquerading as viruses. We have some challenges that we face during the investigative process by investigating agencies. One, difficulty in collecting this evidence, especially where people don't want to give you the username, the password. They are uncooperative. They make it so difficult. That's why they tell you, go with police so they can help and get you all this necessary space so that you do your work, pick your images, go to the lab and do your remaining analysis. Fragility of data on computers. Some of the data we've seen is volatile. It can disappear. It's very fragile. The hard disk drops down. It rains on it. That is it. It dies forever. The fear of destruction of vital data. That's one of the challenges. Vast volumes to be examined. I'm telling you, that analysis stage, oh my God, that is what takes all people's time. You're reading and reading, you're searching for this, searching for the other. Oh my God. And you need to get the truth out there. Diversity of hardware and software. All these are challenges, especially in the IT world, where the IT is always changing. Oh, we are now into blockchain. We are then now into, I don't know, cryptos. Then I don't know, into cryptocurrency. Then I don't know, Bitcoins and all of that. It becomes very tough keeping up to date with what is transpiring ahead. And of course, admissibility. You can waste all your time, do all the work properly. However, the way you present it in court, they tell you, sorry, you wasted your time. There is no case. Lost. Pam. The judge will hammer the table and tell you, go. There is no more case here. They throw it out. Yet you've wasted some good time and money and resources, hoping to be paid. So your cases should work very hard, or you should work very hard with attorneys to ensure that they do not throw out your case. Of course, we've already seen how we define forensics. And of course, you've already seen all forms of methodologies. We just want to quickly pick out on these methodologies. Look at them. We've defined this one. And here we're doing a recap, as I told you. There is always a crime scene somewhere. We always have a forensic lab. So at the crime scene, what do? You identify, you seize those items, you carry out authentication. Then we now go to acquisition. In acquisition stage, it's when we now go to making the image, that summary, or the duplicate of what the storage device contains. We take it for analysis, where we are searching. When we pick what we need, we now present it, organize it properly. Then we preserve our hard disk. That is the normal steps that we had seen. These are places we'll always ask you to name or list at least, I don't know, 5 or 10 places where of hardware, where you can pick or what you can take for your forensic investigation. You should be able to know. Blank hard drives, blank CDs, DVDs, USBs, hash calculators. This is software. You look at them and install it as well. The write blockers, we know what write blockers are for, to freeze information so that no one adds or makes changes to this machine. Crossover cables, because you're going to be picking a lot of data over the internet, so you need to have your cables. PATA cables, SATA cables, all those cables. Where do you store your hard drives? In a plastic static bag or plastic bubble wrap. A safe place that cannot be attacked with water. And also, in case you drop it down, it should be cushioned. It shouldn't destroy it because it's very fragile. Also, you need to have some notepads on you. You need to have cameras, by the way, right at the top here. For evidence, taking photos. You need to have sealing material. Do you remember the hard drive we saw that was sealed? Yes, there is official sealing material. Labels, pens, markers, because you're forever writing. Software and hardware for on-site virtual data retrieval or imaging. You should have those OS forensics, as we shall see. You should have access forensics. There are so many other tools that you can download to be able to carry out your forensic investigation. How to secure a crime scene as we go in those steps. The entire workplace needs to be sealed off using that yellow cell tape, crime scene, crime scene, crime scene. No one should be allowed to touch any computer, any hard drive, anything that is hardware or software. Just walk off and allow us pick what we need and you go. We've already seen this, disconnect power. If required, access the system to take a backup of this volatile data. We back it up on the RAM or ROM or even the routers. You need to back all this information. Take photographs at the crime scene. Identify digital storage media and also draw down the network topology. How does your internet exactly work in that organization? Does it come from somewhere, then it drops directly into the server, internet server, then from there it is distributed to all other systems? Because at that point of the server, that is where you need to put your firewalls, your intrusion detectors, all those to prevent unauthorized material. The questions to be asked at the crime scene: what are your login details? Because you want to access this information. Is the work encrypted? If it is, can you decrypt it? You ask politely. If they don't, you have tools to also be able to unblock them. What are the files of interest? You alert them and say, please, we are here to pick files of this, the other. See if they can give it to you. Cooperate. Email accounts and their passwords. Internet service providers, you have to ask, of course, whose internet service provider. Is it MTN? Is it Liquid Telecom? Is it Simbanet? Is it Zook, Airtel, etc.? There are so many service providers of the internet. Offsite storage, yes. Where are you going to store this information? You need to have planned for it, as we had earlier on seen. Hidden data, because we've seen that there are allocated spaces and unallocated spaces, and people are forever hiding this information. Precautions to take, we've seen integrity is one of them. There is active data that is bound to get lost, the volatile tests, and yes, we shall look at some software in within. We will see, I don't know, I'm not so sure where it falls, but at least as we do this course, we shall look at that volatile software that picks up on any information that was not saved. Information in transit will be picked. Deleted data is always recovered. And of course, this is used to always reconstruct a particular event. In case particular media has been damaged, then the media too can also be read or viewed. Yes, and they use some software. There is some software known as alcohol. You use it when a hard disk or flash drive is totally broken. And I'm telling you, they said repairs have not tried it. But they use it to pick information or read information on a disk that has been destroyed. Our steps, as we had looked at earlier: identifying, seizing, and acquisition. In identifying, we can ask you, list for us at least 10 different storage devices. You should know all places where they can store data. From hard drives to flash disks, those are the dongles, to external drives, to cameras, to floppy disks, to flash disks, those are USB storage drives, to memory cards, CDs, DVDs, mobile phones and its accessories, manuals, and any other peripheral devices, any others that can easily be attached. As long as they have memory space in them, I tell you, those are what you need to pick. Let's give a quick illustration here, an identification. You go to a crime scene. What do you pick? We can put for you a photograph and we say, this is a particular photograph. What would you pick from this crime scene? You should be able to notice, look at the first diagram. This is a computer case, and look at a flash drive in it, or a dongle. The backside has a flash drive in it. You should be able to pick it. The CPU, anywhere that tells with the processing and storage of information, all those are very critical. Look at a hard drive. A hard drive is here, and the first one. That is the back end. See the front end of it. Look at the other types of hard drives. There are so many. This first one here is the HDD. By the way, if you're to buy a computer and they ask you, they tell you this is HDD, this space. This one is SDD. Please buy SDD solid. Solid disk drive is different from the hard disk drive. Solid disk drives are the ones on laptops and very fast, very fast. These are the ones, the SDDs, the internal hard drives. The HDD, the speed is very slow, and they will tell you, that computer is maybe 700,000 or 400. Why? Because it's an HDD, it's not an SDD. Look at all forms of external hard drives. Some are in form of cards, some are in form of books, some are in form of I don't know what, all kinds of shapes. You should be able to know and identify all those strange shapes. Floppy disks, the olden ones, look at this last diagram here. CD-ROMs and DVDs, they are winding up. It's now rare to see some of these. Mobile phones of all kinds, SIM cards, storage device cards, scan disks. Look at flash drives of all sorts and kinds. Candles, any kind of device that can help us to write and pick information. All those at a crime scene are very important. Look at these cards, the card readers. What are you doing with them? Yes, there's a lot of forensic evidence. This is a schema. Look at this one. This schema is for credit cards to pick information off. As you swipe through, it picks information and taps into it. If you go to an office and you find, oh, it has so many cards, your antennas have to go up. This is either cyber criminal. Why do you have all these cards? Either you're stealing them or you're always forging, you're always masking them. There is something that you're doing with all these several cards. We meet in the courts of law. These are the dongles or pen drives. And of course, look at them, they're in all forms. Some of them look like pens, some of them look like cards, some of them look like a ball, some of them look, I don't know, like all kinds of forms. You need to make sure that you are able to identify them for information that you want to pick. Look at these ones in form of pens. Look at the camera on a pen. You look at it, unless you really look very closely, you will not be able to identify these kind of cameras. So it's important that you have, look at this little one that has a knife and a flash disk in between. They're all forms of ways in which people store a lot of data. So do not leave anything unturned, untouched, untested for memory. Look at a hard, which is a scanner. A scanner is important because it helps in converting analog data, like on a paper that is analog, to convert it to digital. If it is a picture, yes, you need to scan it. It also has some memory in it. Photocopiers that are intelligent have memory in them. All of those you can carry out and you can save, make your images, and off you go, because you never know when you will need that information. You seize them. And we said in the seizing, what you do, you need to make sure that you get them off site and you get ready to carry out the images. Label them in the seizing steps. Look at the little small yellow stickers. Label them as much as possible. Give them pegs. 1, 2, 3, because you found so many components, and take your photographs all the time. What kind of cables did you find? What kind? All of, label as much as possible on what you find. Labeling still, you're labeling all the storage devices and whatever you find that is possible and useful in picking information. This one is a power supply, but it's very key because it can work on particular computers. Not all computers can open. Look at this cable number 15, the star cable. Number 15 here, you're able to see it's in a different, unique format. These are very key because people can always masquerade with them. All kinds of cables. Take snapshots and show how the IT team is not doing a good job in tracking and tracking of all these cables. You do as much labeling and taking of photographs of what you find on the ground. Package and transport only what is needed, or do your imaging and off you go. And of course, we said use our anti-static bubble wrap, anti-static wrap, or the bubble wrap for magnetic media like hard drives. Put them in boxes and get set for them to go. Packaging is important. Look at this packaging here. Up here, this is the other empty shell for putting in our hard drive. It should be well cushioned because you don't want your hard drive to lose its information. Avoid any radio transmitting electromagnetic emissions, especially this is a magnet, or even lightning, because lightning will erase off everything. So keep it very safe and very secure. Keep them far in within a safe. All sorts of mobile phones, SIM cards, all these you're really identifying. And of course, here again telling us anything that are inputs and outputs in getting this information. Storage devices are your key core focus. In the acquisition step and authentication, this is where we said we make use of our write blocker. These are examples of write blockers. Thumb screw, fast block, or tableau. These are examples of write blockers. Write blockers are both in software and hardware, so that you can rightly pick off and block that information so that no one writes else on within that document, that other hard drive that you have made an image to. That is what the write blocker is, to freeze information that no one writes on it, otherwise information will be lost. There is always a need for a write blocker. Making forensics, oh yes, we've seen, of course, you need to make duplicate copies, even where possible, add another copy. Why? Because every bit counts. You do not know when one source will be corrupted. Of course, this is about the blockers and the kinds of tools that you can use. Software like NCase is there. FTK Imager, we shall install this one for acquisition process. We shall install it and many others. We will take you through the process. Using any hardware tools, they're giving us examples of write blockers, TD2, Talon, Solo, Dossier, by Logic Cube. All these are parts of tools that you must have in your labs to do this forensic investigation. Laboratory work, here we do the authentication, analysis, presentation, preservation. The hard part has ended. The soft part now comes for you to now start searching. And here we say that you need to verify the message. And we shall look at a software called the hashing calculator. We shall download one and we show you how do we carry out the hashing at the beginning of our next class. I encourage us to please log on same time next week. In analysis, look at all the kinds of tools you can use. NCase, Access Data, FTK Imager, CyberCheck. There are so many that we've seen. Look at this up here. It's a write blocker, this one here in this little case that is open. There are forensic replicators. There are all kinds of formats. Don't forget, when you're doing analysis, pick the information from where it was stored in deleted and non-deleted memory. And of course, the registry analysis. Have you seen the need of the registry analysis? That's the one we looked at. We'll also look at reg analysis, and there are tools to carry out our reg shots, that is for registry analysis, and integrity checks exactly the same. So in analysis phase, again, you need to make sure that you do your shot just to compare that this image you've picked is the same one that was on within that device that you had. You have not changed, you have not added anything, you have not deleted. Cookies, keywords, all these are what you'll start having. The analysis process here, they're just showing us what are the located spaces and unallocated spaces. Located spaces are those hard drives, C, D, E. Unallocated drives, they go and compress and hide them. Why? They want to hide information from URA so that when you come to pick taxes, you will not find it. However, URA is one of those that employs people with forensic expertise. In analysis, we said you're always searching for particular keywords, and we'll have a whole chapter on that. Documentation, we say that you must write your report, save it somewhere in a dry, cool, away from generators and magnets, because you may lose your information, especially for your storage media. Here they give us some quick tips that you need to follow. Do not reveal personal information. Here they're just cautioning us as forensic experts. Even on websites, be careful where you put your information. Create hard to guess passwords. Those with question marks, are you seeing when you look at your keyboard, there are those second set of letters and symbols, open quotation marks, stars, and hash, percentage, dollar signs, hash signs, @ signs, exclamation marks. All of those should be part and parcel of your passwords. Why? That is the only way you can keep away these people who are using software to guess passwords. Using an antivirus and continuously having them up to date. You remember in the security lecture number 2, towards the end, we saw the different ways in which we protect our computers. One of them was updates and upgrades. Yes, for any software, the moment you have an outdated software, you give it room for viruses to come and attack and all sorts of cyber attacks. Back up all your files anytime, send to the clouds, send to other emails, send to hard drive disks, but now the cloud is even safer. Never reveal your true identity when chatting with strangers, especially there are these online games that people have now come up with online. There is one called Roblox. I don't know if you've seen it. My children were telling me about it. But I recently saw that, people are using it to capture real names of children and to carry out a lot of cyberbullying. So go and carry out this awareness amongst parents when they are teaching children online. These kind of games are really not good. They are very, very dangerous. So they tell you, do not even reveal who you are, where you stay, because these pedophiles can come and plan for all kinds of attacks onto the children. Keep your passwords and PIN safe. Memorize them, never put them in a phone. PIN, why are you saving a PIN in a phone, really? Passwords, never have a folder called passwords, even a document, and you call it passwords. You'll have just put it on a right platter for the thieves to pick. Log out every time you leave a transaction, but we shall see. Every time you ever log onto a machine, my God, we will see how to pick all that information, even your passwords. You will be shocked. All the kind of people who have ever logged onto your computers, you will install it and you will see how we're able to trace the browser history as well as trace the browser passwords. For anyone who has ever logged on, and I would want to encourage you, get your computers, keep away from public computers. They are not safe. You go send an email, it is not safe. They've already picked your email address and the information. Always read policies of the privacy and whatever policies that organization has before you carry out a transaction. Otherwise, you may be signing your warranty. Check your account statements as often as possible, because we've told you the thieves don't take too long. They'll just keep collecting 500, 1,000, 2,000. You're like, I think there were bank charges. On social media, don't reveal too much information about yourself online. And they always keep asking you, how do you feel? Who are you entitled to? No one. Don't be in a hurry to add strangers that you don't know. Take time to study the people you add on your groups. Delete any inappropriate information. You're putting your country, you're putting your name, you're putting your date of birth. Why do you quickly trust? And you say, for public to view your profile. No. Who are those public? The hackers. Do not post information about your friends. Otherwise, you always post them at a risk. Don't put your friends and family. Really encourage you. Don't even put children on your profiles. No, it's violating their rights. What you post online is not private. It is always open to everyone. So don't be in a hurry to reveal information that is important. Hey, class, you're the best. Thank you so much for being patient. I know you're having a class very shortly, but I would want to thank you. But in short, that is what we've covered briefly. In year one, not year one. This is what we've covered in chapter 1, 2, and 3. This chapter was just to do a quick recap of what we have. And of course, we have reserved our assignment, not assignment, but our practical next week. So kindly log in next week. I've already uploaded these notes as well. I will still share them and also the recording such that you have them. Please, do we have some people who have not yet registered in the digital forensics team online? Kindly, please get this information. Please register, because at a point in time when we do an assignment online or we do a quick test online, you will be required to log in. And I tell you, I will be here online. You will be wherever you are. I will limit the access time. So if you've not registered, I can't pick your results. You will not have marks. So if we have anyone who hasn't yet registered, please kindly help and get registered. I imagine you should all be having access to your facilities online. May God bless you. We'll meet again next week, same time. Bye-bye.